This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Diamond welcoming you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. There's no on this day today, by the way. So the birthday boy today will be 75. He will be, what do they call it, diamond age? 70, no, platinum. Well, 75 years old, alive at 75. This man was a legend for the Boston Red Sox and Chicago White Sox as a catcher, spending actually more years as a White Sox than a Red Sox, which is pathetic. But anyway, yeah, he was actually the first player to be AL Rookie of the Year unanimously, meaning no one outside of vote. And of course, he's known for what happened in Game 6 of the 75 World Series. That's obviously an obvious hint, but yeah, it's Carlton Fisk. For many years, he would be the home run champion by a catcher, lifetime, until Piazza broke it. He actually had the record for games as a catcher with over 2,200, but it was surpassed by Pudge Rodriguez. Ironically, that's what Pudge's nickname. Fisk was Pudge. But he still has the AL record for both years as catcher, 24 years. That's amazing. He won 3 Silver Sluggers and 11 All-Star appearances. He got to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 2000. So anyway, he was born in Bellows, Vermont. So in Vermont, he was a chubby youngster, but he played ball and did pretty well for himself. He actually participated in the 1965 high school basketball tournament at the Boston Garden and actually drew attention to the Celtics owner, Walter Brown. He got to the University of New Hampshire on a basketball scholarship, also playing baseball. He was actually drafted in the first round of the 1967 amateur draft by the BoSox. And Fisk knew as a first rounder he was a baseball guy. So he went up through the leagues. Of course, he played AAA with Louisville in 1971 for them, and then the Red Sox decided to call him up. Now, Fisk had some problems, but anyway, he joined the Army Reserve in 1967. He actually had an active duty thing at Fort Dix. He was part of the 393rd Service Supply Battalion in Chester, Vermont. He would have monthly weekend drills and 2-week annual training periods until 1971. He came up to the Red Sox to stay from 1972, becoming the main catcher. It was amazing what he could do and all that. Well, he hit his first home run in a call-up in September 71 against Las Cana Tiger Stadium. But Fisk in 72 was a great Rookie of the Year. 293, 22 home runs, and a 909 OPS, meaning on-base plus slugging. He actually led the AL in triples with 9, which is amazing. He's the last catcher to lead the American League in this category. Well, yeah, what other catcher could do triples other than Jason Kendall? Anyway, he was named Gold Glove. He won the Gold Glove and the Rookie of the Year. He actually took 4th in MVP voting, which was amazing. Unfortunately, Fisk nearly had his career cut short in 1974 when he had an injury at home plate with a collision with LeRon Lee of the Cleveland Indians. Fisk would actually miss part of the 75 season because of injury. He only played 79 games for the Red Sox and had 52 RBIs. Fortunately for him, Boston won the AL East. Fisk would do pretty well in the ALCS as the Red Sox shocked the 3-time defending champion Oakland A's in the ALCS. And of course, Fisk was known for a couple of plays. In Game 3 of the World Series at Riverfront Stadium, Fisk hit a home run off Gary Nolan. But in the bottom of the 10th, this when things took a turn. Ed Armbruster, who was a pinch hitter, bunted the ball. And then he started out and it kind of interfered with Carlton Fisk trying to throw the ball to second base. Fisk tried to throw the second base to get Cesar Geronimo out, but they couldn't do it. Fisk was upset because Armbruster should have been out for interference. He still thinks that it would be that way. And I did talk about it when I talked about the 75 World Series, that, you know, the controversy of all of that is that MLB allegedly forced Kirk Gallagher to leave the NBC booth. But regardless, in Game 6, Boston was up against the wall. They were down by 3 runs, but people forget about that 3-run home run by Bernie Carbo. But anyway, Boston would go to the bottom of the 12th. Pat Darcy came into the game and faced Fisk. After a ball, Fisk would hit a home run over the left field wall just off the foul pole. And Boston had won Game 6, would force a Game 7, which they would lose, unfortunately, but still, it was amazing. The image of him jumping, waving the ball fair as he made his way to first base is one of the baseball's greatest moments. Still is. Of course, it actually changed the way baseball was televised, and cameramen were told to follow the flight of the ball. In 1999, NBC cameraman Lou Gerard said that he was going to follow the ball because he had a thing at camera out of the Green Monster and all that. But a rat distracted him and he couldn't move. And this was the catalyst that the camera operators would change things and the reaction shot was born. So anyway, Boston knew what they had. They had a top offensive catcher. And in 1977, Fisk would hit 315, 26 home runs and 102 RBIs. Some say Boston had a problem in 78 with that collapse because of Fisk being injured, and he would actually be designated hitter. But no, the 78 Red Sox choked because Don Zimmer couldn't use Bill Lee, didn't want to use Bill Lee out of the bullpen, or even a starter. He went with Bobby Sproul as a starter in that Austin Massacre thing I talked about in September. And, Butch Hobson was at third base, and he couldn't throw for shit. Anyway, Fisk wanted to be paid higher on the scan. And of course, the GM was not too pleased with it. Fisk's contract expired in 1980. Sullivan actually mailed him a new contract, but unfortunately, it was one day after the contractual deadline, which meant that Fisk was a free agent, and he signed on the dotted line to a $3.5 million deal with the White Sox. Ironically, Fisk would play for the White Sox, and the first game as a White Sox was, ironically, in Boston against the Red Sox. Fisk went to 7 All-Star games as a member of the Red Sox, batting 161 home runs, 568 RBIs. So he signed the 5-year, $3.5 million contract, meaning $700,000. Fisk wore 27 in Boston, but the White Sox had Ken Craven. And Fisk decided to switch to 72, not because he wanted to reverse the digits, but because he won the title, the AL Rookie of the Year in 72. Fisk would retain his number even though Craven was traded. So anyway, Fisk said that after a decade with the Red Sox, it was time to change my socks. So he changed it with the White Sox in 72. And he hit a 3-run home run in the 8th inning to get the White Sox to win 5-3. That was huge. How could do that? He helped the White Sox win the West in 1983. But in 289, 26 home runs, 86 RBIs. He was third in MVP voting behind Cal Ripken Jr. and Eddie Murray. Fisk could not do well in the ALCS against the Orioles. The White Sox couldn't do well against the Orioles, though, too. Fisk hit for the cycle in 1984, which was amazing and all that. But injuries would fall him flat. However, he would use a new training regimen that would help him out. Strength and conditioning, including weight training. Anyway, Fisk had production. He had 37 home runs, 107 RBIs in 1985, which was shocking. He took 13th in MVP voting. He should have been at least top 10. Fuck. Anyway, Fisk was the hero on August 4th, 1985, being the catcher when Tom Seaver got his 300th win. Fisk was the catcher when Bobby Thigpen got 57 saves in 1990, which was a record. So anyway, Fisk is the AL record holder for catchers with 351. He only played 2 teams, Red Sox and White Sox. And in 1991, at the All-Star game in Toronto, he actually got a hit, becoming the oldest player in MLB history to get a hit at that game. The White Sox would have a problem with Fisk. Fisk broke Boone's record for career games caught on June 22nd, 1993. But 6 days later, Fisk was released by the White Sox at age 45. Fisk was told in his hotel room to do so. and was thrown out of the clubhouse and all that. Fisk cared to believe his luck. Like the White Sox would just dump him off like that. Fisk would go to the Hall of Fame with a Boston Red Sox cap, mostly because of his 1975 heroics, and of course the White Sox management pissing him off. Strange as it sounds, the White Sox actually retired Fisk's number 72 in 97 before Boston retired his 27 in 2000. And the White Sox dedicated a statue to him. I don't know why the Red Sox didn't. Anyway, Fisk officially rejoined the White Sox organization by becoming a team ambassador in 2008. Now, the White Sox actually nearly traded Carlton Fisk to the Yankees for Don Baylor. Baylor was not happy because he wanted to play. He wanted to play every day. He has to be traded. Now, it was complicated because the White Sox would have to re-sign Fisk, who was a free agent, and both players had to agree to the trade. All that. Unfortunately, they couldn't come to an agreement. Baylor was traded to Boston for Mike Easler, and it actually worked because the Red Sox got to the World Series, and Baylor almost got his World Series ring. Fisk and Furman Munson would have a brawl in 1973, which was huge and all that. Because it was Yankees, Red Sox, what do you expect? So, yeah, it was huge and all that. So, anyway, yeah. He has a lot of legacy. The oldest catcher in MLB history to hit 20 home runs in a season. Most home runs hit after the age of 40 by anybody, 72 years old. I'm surprised that Bonds doesn't hold that record. 24 years as a catcher, that's the record. He was the home run leader by a catcher until Mike Piazza got him, and games played until Pudge Rodriguez. Fisk had been behind the plate for 149 shutouts by pitchers, second behind Yogi Berra. Fisk did his job. He got to the top 10 4 times in AL MVP voting by never winning. Yeah, the White Sox knew what they could do. And Fisk's home run was in the 1997 film Good Will Hunting. After, the therapist Sean McGuire, aka Robin Williams, told Will Hunting, aka Matt Damon, about Game 6 of the 75 World Series. So, anyway, the left field foul pole at Fenway was named the Fisk pole. All that. So this was amazing, all that. It's still one of the most enduring images of Game 6 of the 75 World Series and all that. So, anyway. He was a legend. And he's still a legend to this day. Fisk had some problems and all that, but, he did what he could. And, he's an orchid collector. Orchids are flowers, by the way, if you must know. So, yeah, Carlton Fisk is a legend and all that. And don't you forget it. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.